Remnant II, you'll often find yourself in dangerous combat scenarios. When you want to stare death directly in the face and laugh, it's time for the Challenger. This is Tragic from Gunfire Games, bringing you another archetype breakdown. The Challenger is the close to mid-range destroyer. They intimidate their enemies with their mere presence and administer brutal damage to anyone foolish enough to cross their path. Their perks are designed around dealing heavy damage, wearing heavy armor, and heavily reducing the damage of all nearby enemies. But wait, there's more. The key to their fearlessness is the prime perk, Die Hard. When the Challenger receives fatal damage, they pound the ground in anger and let the enemy know, not today. Though on a long cooldown, Die Hard allows the Challenger a second chance to finish the fight. And fighting is the Challenger's specialty. Their first skill, War Stomp, rattles the ground and sends a high-impact shockwave towards their foes. Multiple charges makes dealing with swarms of enemies or staggering a resilient elite light work. Their second skill, Juggernaut, turns the Challenger into an unrelenting, unstoppable force. They take drastically reduced damage, easily brush off impacts, and gain a buff to movement speed, melee speed, and melee damage. Don't you know who I am? Their third skill, Rampage, creates an all-out killing machine. The Challenger immediately gains a fire rate, reload speed, and movement speed buff. As they deal damage, they gain rage stacks, which further increases range damage. When they've attained maximum stacks, the challenger goes berserk, which doubles all bonuses. Absolute, unadulterated destruction. Rounding out their kit is the archetype trait, Strongback. It reduces armor encumbrance, allowing players to wear heavier armor without the weight penalty. An amazing unlock that can mesh well in any build where you want toughness and agility. Players who enjoy being in the thick of battle while overpowering any foe that steps in their path will love the Challenger. If death is the question, Challenger is the answer. In Remnant II, archetypes are the foundation of every build. They're the first and most important choice when it comes to designing how you want to play. This is Tragic from Gunfire Games. Introducing the Gunslinger. When it's time to bring guns to a gunfight, it's time for the Gunslinger. They're the master of high fire rate, weapon handling, and ammo efficiency. Their role? Pure damage. The Gunslinger perks are designed around maximizing DPS. They keep the offense rolling with quick reloads, blistering weapon swaps, and constant ammo generation. The cornerstone of their perks is the Prime, Loaded. It automatically reloads both guns when an archetype skill is activated. In a heated battle, a well-timed skill activation keeps the lead flying. And skills are where the Gunslinger really shines. Their first skill, Quick Draw, unloads their hidden six-shooter and auto-targets nearby enemies. It's the perfect skill to leverage their prime perk. Their second skill, Sidewinder, cranks up aiming movement speed, weapon swap speed, and automatically reloads weapons when you switch to them. When you want sustained damage while weaving in and out of incoming fire, Sidewinder is a must-have. Their third skill, Bullet Storm, makes every firearm fully automatic, boosts fire rate, and ramps up reload speed. When it comes to burst damage, Bullet Storm makes the damage rain. Rounding out their kit is the archetype trait, Ammo Reserves. It increases total ammo capacity, so you never have to worry about running dry. A great unlock for any archetype combo. Players who love gameplay with a heavy emphasis on shooting will love the Gunslinger. When it comes to overwhelming the enemy with a truckload of bullets, accept no substitute. Venturing into the apocalypse alone can be daunting, so bringing a friend is always a good idea. This is Tragic from Gunfire Games, introducing the Handler. In Remnant II, the Handler and their loyal companion work together to take down the toughest enemies through cooperation and friendship. As a jack of all trades, this duo brings a bit of everything to any team. Their perks are designed for utility. They boost movement and revive speeds and allow the entire team to move swiftly as a pack. As a bonus, when the companion is near the Handler, they automatically heal over time. The speed of the heal can be greatly increased by showing your friend some love. Good boy. The cornerstone of the Handler's perks is the Prime, Bonded. This allows the companion to automatically revive the Handler with the Handler's own relic. It can also be used to revive down teammates. Unlike other archetypes, the Handler slots behaviors, which modify the companion and grants them unique passive buffs and activatable skills. The Handler doesn't have traditional archetype skills, but instead uses commands to instruct their companion on the battlefield. With commands, you can instruct your companion to attack, call them back to your side, and even have them guard an ally. Most importantly, you can also instruct them to activate their special howls. Their first behavior, Guard Dog, passively causes the companion to draw more aggro and take less damage. Their howl greatly increases aggro generation and grants the entire team a defensive buff for a short period of time. Their second behavior, Support Dog, passively grants a heal over time to any nearby ally. Their howl boosts the effectiveness and size of the heal. Their third behavior, Attack Dog, passively increases the companion's damage. Their howl grants the entire team a damage buff. When it's time to go all out, Attack Dog is the way. Rounding out their kit is the archetype trait, Kinship. It reduces all friendly fire dealt and received, which works wonders for keeping everyone in the fight. It also allows players who play fast and loose with deadly explosives a bit more leeway. The companion can never truly die. If overwhelmed in combat, they'll lay down to rest until the handler has a chance to encourage them back on their feet. Come on, buddy. Players who love teamwork and want their very own loyal companion will find themselves right at home with the handler. Solo or co-op, teamwork makes the dream work. Archetypes in Remnant II come with their own set of unique tools designed for defeating the biggest and baddest enemies that the apocalypse has ever seen. This is Tragic from Gunfire Games, introducing the final starting archetype, the Hunter. Always a classic, the Hunter focuses on long-range, precision-based gameplay. They easily identify targets and eliminate them, often before the battle even begins. Their perks are designed around making every hit count and capitalizing on each opportunity, no matter how small the window. The key to their entire kit is the Prime perk, Dead to Rights. Scoring range weak spots while a Hunter skill is active extends its duration, even beyond its initial values. In addition to the Prime, the Hunter also has a unique ability called Marking. When marked, enemies can be seen through walls and are more susceptible to critical hits from the entire team. Everyone eats when the Hunter's on the prowl. Their first skill, Hunter's Mark, is a tried-and-true fan favorite. The Hunter instantly reveals and marks all enemies in a wide range. While active, every enemy is automatically marked for the entire team. No one hides from the Hunter. Their second skill, Hunter's Focus, is a more calculating technique. While aiming down sights, their target will become automatically marked. If they remain focused without shooting, they gain huge bonuses to accuracy, damage, and critical chance. The buff remains active so long as the Hunter remains aiming. This one's personal. Their third skill, Hunter's Shroud, makes the Hunter a nearly untouchable killing machine. They instantly slip into the shadows, making it easier to avoid damage while moving. Their next attack, Drops Shroud, marks enemies within close range and grants a strong range and melee damage buff. If the Hunter doesn't attack for a short duration, they instantly reshroud. Now you see me, now you're dead. Rounding out their kit is the archetype trait, Long Shot. It increases the effective range of all firearms, from rifles to shotguns, and everything in between. Players who enjoy rewarding, precision-based gameplay will love the Hunter. Their range is unmatched, and their damage, legend. The most important element of navigating the apocalypse is staying alive. And there's no better choice for keeping the squad in tip-top shape than the medic. This is Tragic from Gunfire Games, showcasing one of my favorite archetypes. The medic is the master of healing and relics. They heal more than any other archetype, and they do it much more efficiently. Their perks are designed around keeping the team in the fight. They're exceptionally adept at recovering from their own injuries while being resilient to interrupts during relic use. Because of this, the medic is always ready to help. The cornerstone to their healing abilities is the Prime perk, Regenerator. When the medic has restored enough health to themselves or allies, including companions, they regain a relic charge. Even better, both relic and skill healing contribute to Regenerator. And skills are where you can really customize your recovery style. Their first skill, Wellspring, sees the medic punch a hole in the ground to generate a refreshing well of healing energy. It's the most efficient healing skill, but it's limited by its size and static nature. Their second skill, Healing Shield, conjures a protective barrier around all allies. While the shield's active, players constantly gain a small amount of health over time. It's a great option to protect an ally dangerously low on health, but also works well to provide healing to a mobile party. Their third skill, Redemption, is the ultimate healing ability. At its core, it's a chargeable skill that applies an increasingly potent heal over time. Redemption revives all down allies and grants massive regeneration, which quickly gets the team back in shape and allows them to brush off damage. A true Hail Mary. Rounding out their kit is the archetype trait, Triage. It increases healing effectiveness, which further cements the medic as the master of health recovery. No one does powerful heals like the medic. Players who enjoy keeping their entire team in peak fighting form will feel right at home with the medic. They fit in any size team and provide sustainability that no other archetype possesses, making the apocalypse a little less daunting. The rest comes down to bullets. Lots and lots of bullets. Call an ambulance, but not for me.
Humanity's thirst for knowledge led to our greatest triumph and our ultimate downfall. We opened the door to worlds beyond our comprehension. But from that door, an unimaginable evil called the Root slipped through and destroyed everything. A couple decades back, we dealt the Root a heavy blow. Bought ourselves some time. We rebuilt as best we could, licked our wounds and forged a path forward, step by step. But our time is running out. Everything is prey to the Root, and as long as they exist, we will always be hunted. That's where you come in. We need you to journey to some dangerous yet wondrous worlds and stop the Root once and for all. To survive, you'll need to push every skill you've got to its limit. But we don't just need you to survive. We need you to prevail. Use whatever gear you can find. Modify your weapons with what you can scrounge up in your travels. And be smart. Bring the backup you need. We're counting on your travel. Stop this infestation before it extinguishes the last flickering flame of humanity. If you fail, well, let's just say failure isn't an option. Our future is in your hands now. Without you, everything we know and love will fall to ash.
Every way, Remnant 2 feels like it's shaping up to be a proper sequel to Gunfire Games' underrated Souls-like from 2019. Lovingly referred to as Dark Souls with guns by its community, Remnant from the Ashes punched above its weight in many ways, with just a handful of scrappy indie developers working on the project at the outset. 4 years later, that team has the support of its new titanic parent company, Embracer Group, and has ballooned to over 60 people and counting. And in my time playing Remnant 2, the results of that doubling down were clear. This sequel seems like it's going to absolutely rule. The gunplay is heads and tails above its predecessor. The build crafting is an RPG nerd's dream. The enemies and bosses are relentless and badass, and the vastly improved procedural generation engine is one of the most ambitious things I've seen from a Souls-like in a very long time. The night before I got my hands on Remnant 2, I spent my time replaying the first game in my hotel room, and the thing that immediately struck me when booting up the sequel was just how much better it looks. Where From the Ashes was a bit drab aesthetically, Remnant 2 is absolutely bursting with color and detailed characters. Whether I was hanging around the rustic sanctuary of Ward 13 or running through Yeisha under the glow of an eerie crimson sun, the leap forward is no mere facelift. It's a complete overhaul. But more importantly, Remnant 2 feels much more on par with its third-person shooter peers than its predecessor in terms of both movement and combat. For starters, melee combat is not only a practical option compared to the first game's wimpy slashing, but it actually feels good to get up close and beat someone down when bullets just won't do. I used everything from shotguns to rifles, and even a crossbow, and each felt satisfying and ferocious, even if some felt a bit overpowered in the early version I played. The number of enemies and dastardly ways they attack you also seems like a step up, just from the small number of biomes I was able to explore. Whether I was fighting giant slippery lizards, floating tentacled aliens, or creepy root-infested cultists, there was always a new enemy waiting around every corner. Boss fights have also been tuned up, especially when it comes to the first game's irritating overuse of ads during them. Gunfire Games clearly heard the feedback from players loud and clear, and most bosses I took down either made light use of them or made them the primary obstacle while some other puzzle waited to be solved. For example, I fought one boss called the Mother Mind, a giant plant monster who bombarded me with explosive pollen and faced only a few floating ads in between damage phases. While in another fight against an enemy called Legion, a dark deity who tried to drive my character insane, I fought off waves of ads while trying to figure out the trick to overcoming the boss's maddening gaze. Moving around has also been reworked, as jumping between gaps is now possible, and my prayers have been answered regarding the first game's most annoying feature, the stamina meter. Now it only applies during combat, meaning you don't have to worry about getting arbitrarily slowed down every few seconds when exploring the world. Jumping around and climbing makes exploration and engaging the bad guys a lot more interesting, since clever use of verticality and putting gaps between you and your enemy allow for some fun moments. Plus, now there's dozens of exciting new ways to fall to your death, something I was apparently fond of doing. The sequel's killer feature, though, is the ambitious improvements it aims to make to its procedurally generated levels. Where the first Remnant mixed up the layout of levels and which enemies would spawn, Remnant 2 takes it to an entirely new level by randomly generating practically every element of your adventure. In fact, even the tutorial will differ from player to player, as the starting area is assigned randomly between a few different options. Beyond that, you can expect boss fights, side quests, NPCs, and storylines to all differ from that of your friends, making each new playthrough feel like a significantly different experience. Finally, there's the numerous ways in which character build crafting has been improved. Instead of picking a base class and slapping on a few weapons and modifiers from there, Remnant 2 has a staggering number of options for you to choose from, like its fantastic multi-class system that lets you mix and match archetypes like the Gunslinger or the Handler to create a unique cocktail of perks and abilities. Beyond that, the number of trinkets and items you can use to customize your build has been expanded, including new ways to customize your Dragonheart healing item that may prove to be a game changer for players. I played quite a bit of Remnant from the Ashes, but everything I've seen from its sequel points to Remnant 2 being my next addiction. Simply put, I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. Here's hoping the finished product turns out as promising as my early peek at it suggested. For more, check out our interview with Remnant 2's developers or the reveal trailers for the Gunslinger and Handler archetypes. And for everything else, stick with IGN.